I think it's something actually really amazing, but if you can't tell, a lot of it has to do with your perspective and your outlook.
Right.
You have to be intentional in that moment of making sure that you remind yourself of everything that matters in your life, everything
Yes.
that's important, everyone that loves you,
Yes.
all the goals you have.
Yes.
And remember
They don't
that
stop.
this diagnosis doesn't stop any of that.
Exactly. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to my first ever Ruffled Feathers Taping Podcast. I am here with the legendary, the awesome, a good friend of mine, Mr. Tayshawn. All right, Tayshawn, the superstar. Listen, the jack of all trades, okay?
Yes.
Okay? I mean, literally, like the jack of all trades.
It's true.
Okay? Love it. So, Mr. Tayshawn, how is your day going so far?
Long, productive,
Okay?
knocking things off the checklist one by one.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. That's how I typically like to run my day as
Got
well.
to.
Yeah.
Got to. Try to get it all done.
Listen, 30 and
Never
over,
enough.
I got to keep a checklist because if I don't, I'm going to miss everything.
That, it ain't never enough time, hours. in the
Never.
day.
24 is just not enough. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today and willing to talk to me on my Ruffled Feathers podcast and just being transparent and just ready to tell your story and just,
Yes.
you know, I'm so excited to, out of anybody, you know what I'm saying, that I could have gotten in the world.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yes.
And that is a blessing. I am
Yes.
so honored.
Amen.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right. So first, I guess we're going to start off by tell me what you do. What do you do? For a living.
I'm a natural hair care teacher, stylist. That's my passion. That's my career.
Mhm.
That's what I will always do till the day I die. I'm pretty sure, unless the
Okay.
Lord calls me to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
But along with that, I'm a event coordinator or a life engagement activities coordinator, however you want to
Mm-hmm.
word it,
Yeah.
for an assisted living facility.
Okay. All right. I love it. I love it. Like I said, a jack of all trades.
Yes.
You can do a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Right.
So your thing is more so is creativity.
Absolutely.
You enjoy creativity.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Bringing value to different people's lives, situations, just having fun. Life is hard.
Yeah.
Try
While
to-
having fun doing it, right?
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
hard enough. Try to make sure we enjoy it in the process.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that. I love that about you.
Yes.
And ever since the day I met you, that is the light that I felt when I met you for the first time. Remember?
Yes,
And it's
yes.
like ever since the first time we met, it's like we just had like this.
Just keep it up.
Yeah, like we just had like this electrifying like energy
Right.
connection. You know?
Right,
I love
absolutely.
that. I love that.
I feel like when you take light of harder situations or situations that can be tougher, I just feel like it's easier for you to open up to be true, to show your true self in the setting in which we met. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
very much a place where I just had to be open. If you really want
Right.
help,
Yeah.
and you really want to grow in whatever way that it is, you have to really be vulnerable.
Absolutely.
And this is who I am. This is the situation. What can you do for me?
Yeah, and on top of the fact of not feeling judged,
Exactly.
not feeling, experiencing like that white coach syndrome,
Mhm.
and I believe that's why you keep coming back and keep coming back,
Absolutely.
because you do feel that love, that support,
Yeah.
that you experience when you come.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. Well, again, it is my pleasure, and I love you so
Yes.
much. So.
Yes.
Tell me about your experience when you first found out that you were positive.
It was tough. When I first found out that I was positive, it was like a gut punch. Very much indescribable. Didn't really know how to process. You're never really equipped with those problem solving skills
Right.
as we would view it in that initial moment.
Yeah.
But over time I realized that it wasn't, my new diagnosis wasn't necessarily a problem.
Yeah.
It was new information.
Right.
I needed to learn how to live differently, to manage my life, my time, my priorities differently.
Right.
Just in a wake-up call for me in reality. Life is real. We're always living it. We're always doing different things, but no one really wants to have those hard conversations about the stuff that matters. So
Yeah.
when it came to sex,
Mhm.
and sex with men at that,
Yeah.
there are a lot of risks that no one really talks about. We, rush past the conversation of just sex with a woman,
Right.
Instead of really talking about the risk and the ways that we can protect one another, beyond simply avoiding pregnancy,
Right.
beyond avoiding, an STD or STI by your basic condom, some
Yeah.
things of that nature.
Right.
There's so much more, and we're so much more intricate. We're so much more creative when it comes to having fun and pleasure
Right.
nowadays. Those conversations need to be had, and not having that support in that specific area of my life, not having any insight or people that I could really go to that I felt safe or comfortable
Right.
talking to.
Absolutely.
It very much made it a very confusing time for me. So I was suicidal.
Wow.
I isolated myself. I was very hopeless, depressed. The list goes on, but
Yeah.
grace, shout out to the
Yeah,
Lord and grace of
absolutely.
God. I was very much able to overcome all the stigmas and just struggles and all of it, and now in a place where I can help somebody else and hopefully be a blessing.
I absolutely love it. I love it. So did you have like any symptoms? Like did you have a feeling that, there was a possibility, or did you just kind of like go to the doctor, get checked, and like were you shocked you were positive, or
Right.
did you kind of think you were, or did you kind of know?
Yeah, and it was a really tricky time, and that's why I think for me I wouldn't even say that I know that I'm so close knit with God is
Mhm.
because for me, I knew that I was very much being promiscuous. I knew very much that I was being unsafe.
Mhm.
I knew very much that I was taking risk, and that eventually, cause and effect that's happened.
Right.
Eventually those consequences of risk that you're taking are going to,
Yeah.
present themselves in your life.
Sure.
So for me, I was day by day being promiscuous, doing things that I shouldn't have, whether it be cross-dressing, meeting up with people that I shouldn't have, just trying to find validation in all the wrong places.
Right.
And I would start to, as I was looking and seeking out those things, I would find other things like, I'd look at a window seal and see a double pane window and,
Mhm.
See the H in the window and
Right.
couldn't figure out why the H was so significant or, would seem to really stand out, and I wouldn't see a window. Or
Right.
I would look at a light post or something and I would see an eye instead of a light post.
Okay.
And,
Yeah.
then I would see little things, maybe even like the leaves, and I'd see a V, and for some reason my focus would shift to, a V, and I'm like,
Wow.
all day I've been seeing HIV, and
Okay.
eventually
Wow.
it got to a point where I really put it all together and was like,
Mhm.
something is not right. What in the world is going on? And I really feel like that was a mix of my intuition, the Holy Spirit, God tugging on me, just everything. And I decided, I had the courage. I said, you know what, in the community, in the LGBT community, we hear a lot about getting tested, know your status, stuff like that. But it's the process in which what happens during getting tested and afterwards and getting
Yeah.
into care
Right.
that can really be tricky. But I found out, I went and, I knew somebody obviously I can go to and get tested, got tested, found out, and that was just, it was.
So
Yeah.
so pretty much your story is that you kind of kept looking at different things that should symbolize things
Mhm.
like a window,
Exactly.
a light post, a plant, but
Exactly.
you're seeing these abbreviations of HIV.
Right,
That is an
exactly.
amazing story. I've
Yeah.
never even,
Yeah,
what I'm
it's
saying?
straight
You've never
truth.
heard of anything
Straight
like that.
truth,
Never really,
yeah.
so that kind of gave you the
Yeah.
fuel to be like, let
And-
me go. Let me just go. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because something must be telling. It was some type of intuition that was telling you.
And
that
that's
is
what I think is
amazing.
beautiful. I've never personally had symptoms. I never, people would get scared and they're like, oh, you're going to have blisters and
Yeah.
bumps and,
Yeah.
you're going to break out. And I never experienced any of that. And that's a blessing,
Right.
in itself that,
Absolutely.
my thorn in my side, my struggle was something that I could very much hold and hide behind,
Yeah.
this appearance that you never knew.
Mhm.
Whereas other people's struggles and ailments and, diagnoses and
Yeah.
stuff like that sometimes can be put on front and center. So,
Right.
just being grateful that, I was able to determine how I wanted to handle the situation.
Absolutely. Be in control.
Exactly, being
Yeah.
in control. So, yeah.
Okay, I love it. I love that. I've never heard anything like that, and I
Mhm.
love your intuition. I love that that you were able to see
Yeah.
in different areas. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like things like that.
I think-
As opposed to
seeing different
things
areas.
in different areas. So
Exactly.
I absolutely love that.
Exactly.
So if you met someone who were newly diagnosed, what are some things that you would say to them? Like being able to share your experience, but how would you take them up under your wing and be like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like,
It's gonna be okay.
let me holler at you. What are some things you would say to them?
I would really share my testimony and my story and just different experiences and moments in my life where I really feel like it might have been too hard. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where I was gonna go. One thing I will say about being positive and undetectable is specifically the undetectable part. When you're doing what you have to do, when you're in care, when you're taking care of yourself, when that part and you can check that box, there are so many different resources that do become available to you within the community, within healthcare, within I would say even yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You realize you have a different strength, you have a different courage, that you are able to conquer, some of the hardest things that you could have never imagined, you'd even be faced with, because who wakes up in the morning thinking, or preparing, today I'm going to get that news, or today I'm going to, figure out how to process
Who's expecting that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, to really know that there is a hope or a life on the other side, that it isn't just this daunting Grim Reaper, as people think, it's just
the
all
end.
Downhill.
This is the end for me.
It's not at all anything to that extent if you are willing to take care of yourself and be proactive. And that doesn't mean, it's going to be $1 million journey and, it's just so difficult. It's a matter of being intentional. It's a matter of prioritizing yourself. It's a matter of showing yourself that respect. The same way you would set a doctor's appointment or a dentist's appointment to get your teeth cleaned. You set your doctor's appointment. The same way you would, go to get your physical so that you can play football on the, on your high school team or whatever the case may be. You go and you get your blood drawn so that you know your levels or whatever the case may be. You just start to be more intentional about, taking care of yourself.
Absolutely.
In addition to that, I would let them know that, there's going to be a strength that comes out of this. Being able to carry something of this magnitude that is something that is very common, whether you realize it or not, but something that's unspoken of, and I want to say unfamiliar as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Being able to be that person as I see myself and bring light to those conversations, those moments, to be able to encourage someone to speak on it, you will eventually gain a sense of value as you hide less. And you walk in your truth more.
Absolutely.
And that just comes from walking in your truth.
Holding
something so powerful and that's so misunderstood.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? People want to talk to you. You know what I mean? People want to know. People want that help and that information. So I think it's something actually really amazing. But if you can't tell, a lot of it has to do with your perspective and your outlook. You have to be intentional in that moment of making sure that you remind yourself of everything that matters in your life, everything that's important, everyone that loves you, all the goals you have, and remember that this diagnosis doesn't stop any of that. It has no correlation whatsoever. It simply is new information that you're going to use to better yourself and grow.
I love how you called it my testimony as opposed to, something negative.
That's my story used to encourage the next person.
Absolutely. I love how you used it as a testimony, because there's so much stigma and negativity that is wrapped around HIV. But I think that, or I believe that, the reason why that there is so much negativity is because there is so much ignorance. There is such a lack of information,
Agreed.
And certain things that you had said, do you feel free? Do you now feel like, because you have been intentional, you have taken your health, and made that a priority in your life, do you feel free? Because at one point, I'm pretty sure it had a hold on you.
Right.
Right? When you was in that dark place.
Absolutely.
So you do feel like you're at a place of freedom now.
I feel like absolutely it no longer is something that defines me, but I define it.
Absolutely.
And I mean that literally.
I love that.
You can ask me if I'm positive and I'll tell you no. You can ask me if I'm undetectable and I'll tell you yes, because I define what my story is and what positive means to me.
Yeah.
I have HIV and a medical stance,
Right.
but because I'm knowledgeable about it, because I understand what it is,
Right.
because I understand how it works,
Right.
I'm undetectable, meaning I could sleep with somebody right now, and they have, in reality, as my medical professionals,
Right, right.
just showing me love and compassion, articulated to me,
Yes.
they've probably got a better chance of getting struck, by lightning than catching HIV from you.
I love that.
And that's simply because you're doing what you have to do. There are, so many advances in modern medicine.
Mhm.
There's so many just advances in just health,
Yeah.
where, again, you can have a diagnosis, whether it be HIV, diabetes, whether it be, you need a heart
Cancer.
transplant, cancer,
Yeah.
the list goes on.
Right.
And you have some ailments and some of these diagnoses where they are physically present. You can look at a person and tell
Right.
that something is wrong.
Right.
But I that's not my story, and I'm grateful. So,
Mm.
to be able to articulate that and educate other people and help them to see that, hey, it's not as bad as people think when, you're going to catch AIDS.
Right.
It's not,
Right.
first of all, how it even happens.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right,
It's a
absolutely.
progress. It's steps to this, and it only happens
Absolutely.
when you're not taking care of yourself. So, when you do see somebody in that regard, and that's their story, and, no, I have AIDS, you can look at that person and show a level of pity because, wow, not only is this something huge that affects your life or this person, but
Yeah.
you're in a position in your life where you've chosen to throw your life away.
Absolutely,
You-
because now
you-
it's a choice.
Exactly.
No
You-
one should be dying
Yes, you
of
stop going
HIV nowadays.
Exactly.
No one should really be dying of HIV
Yeah.
because there's too many medications.
Exactly.
There's too much research. You know what I'm saying?
And
There's too much
resource.
resources. There's too much
Yeah.
information. There are too many resources.
Absolutely.
Because back in the 90s, they used to take how many pills a day? Like
And that's where
several.
that stigma comes from.
Right.
But you have to understand, this is no longer the 90s.
Right.
Hell, we just made it 2024.
Right,
Like,
right.
You know what I mean?
13
Come on.
days in.
Time
And
is passing and things are no
what are
longer
some of the
same.
medications that are taken for people?
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I think these are really good ways to identify those people that you should talk to and you shouldn't. If they can't name to you off the top of their head things like Biktarvy, Truvada, Triumec, you know what I mean? Dovato. If you can't name off these things, you're not educated.
Right.
You're not keeping up with the times. You're not keeping up with how you can keep yourself, but also your partner,
Absolutely.
your partners, whatever
Safe,
your
yeah.
choice may be,
Right,
safe.
right.
And that is
Right.
important when you're choosing to engage in sexual activity.
Absolutely.
It's not just about you.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that you get when you also, get this newfound diagnosis is
Mhm.
you get a sense of compassion.
Yeah.
And it's you have to get it and you can't avoid it because you at that point almost unintentionally demand it from other people.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what you're going through, but now all of a sudden people are supposed to be nicer and gentle and
Yeah.
and how can anybody do that if you're not being honest about what
Right.
you're going through?
Absolutely.
But for the people in the safe places in those doors where you are,
Yeah.
you get that compassion, you get that patience, you get that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So I
Yeah.
think showing that as well to your partners or whoever you're being intimate with is a good indicator of, not only this is somebody safe to engage in these
Yeah.
activities with, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But it's okay.
Mhm.
It's not as bad
Right.
as people think.
As people think.
Exactly.
And I think that I'll speak for myself. Me growing up, or me living my life as a heterosexual woman
Mm.
and not being a part of the LGBTQ community until I literally got into this field, I would say that I definitely had a lot of ignorance.
Blinders.
Yeah, blinders.
Yeah.
My blinders were the basic knowledge that I had growing up.
Mhm.
I grew up in the 90s.
Mhm.
So of course that is all the information that I knew.
Mhm.
When I thought of hearing, okay, a person has HIV, I thought that they were instantaneously
Right.
going to die.
Exactly.
I mean, that is very ignorant to say.
Right.
But that is just what I knew, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? But think about it. Think about how much of the world is on my side and have those blinders up. And like I said,
Right.
it is ignorance due to the lack of information. But there are so many people that are out here that looks at, you know, a person living with HIV is,
Right.
you know, it's just
Off
this.
limits.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
this right here.
Right.
I mean, going back, I mean, just even being so simple as don't touch me, you know, I don't want to eat off of a spoon or a
Right.
fork, or, you know, thinking that a person can contract HIV through touch,
Right.
you know, a hug,
Right.
you know, things like that.
Yeah.
I honestly
Yeah.
would say that I was ignorant, and I would think that I was,
And
you know
you
what I'm saying?
didn't
I wouldn't want to be blatantly ignorant, but I wouldn't be like,
And this is
hey,
the thing,
you know?
I'll say, and I'm grateful for this perspective that I have, and this is why I'm willing to share, and this is why I'm willing to help, and
Yeah.
I'm willing to be that go-to, is because even in that stance, in that
Yes.
perspective,
Right.
there's a level of compassion that we have to have for you
Right.
as homosexual
Right.
men, or individuals that are affiliated with the LGBTQ.
Not all of them do.
And that's the thing. Some are just like, oh, you selfish,
Right,
you're
right, right.
insecure,
Right.
and it just goes to immediately shaming and trying to tear
Right,
down that person
right.
because they feel attacked.
Right.
But in reality, we have to understand as well. You only have access to what you have access
Right,
to.
right. A
And
little
if that's
information.
your background and that's how you grew up,
Right.
it doesn't mean that it's an excuse that you don't continue to educate yourself
Absolutely.
as you're doing, as you've done, and
Right.
you've made the choice to do.
Thank you.
But
yes.
we can't fault you for
Right.
not knowing what you didn't know, or for treating us a way that you didn't know.
Right.
We can only, if we choose and we
Mhm.
desire that relationship and we want things to get better,
Right.
we can only come and say, hey, well, this is a situation and this isn't the truth. Or we can have those hard conversations and say, I notice you're treating me differently. What is it about, me, or have I
Yeah.
done something that's made you uncomfortable?
Right.
And at that moment, we can have those conversations. And I think, I would like to think that's how it all started.
Yeah.
But I think once you open that door,
Mhm.
you can have those dialogues and say, hey, well, this is how this happens, or this is how it happened,
Right.
or this is what, we need to be careful of, or this is what we can do, or, and really set the tone and understand, versus walking on eggshells and possibly risking, not making a relationship or a family member. You don't go to their house and spend time with them, and now, they are gone, and you regret the time over
Absolutely.
something that you didn't understand.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's something we can change. We can always
Absolutely.
educate ourselves.
Absolutely.
We can't change our diagnoses all the time.
Right. So, do you ever have the opportunity to use, situations when you interact with certain people? Do you ever have the opportunity to make it an educational moment? Like,
Yeah.
do you like,
Yeah.
being able to educate people
I do.
and talk about the stigmas?
Yeah.
Do you like that?
I do. I enjoy. I think it brings a lot of value, especially when people weren't expecting me to be as vulnerable as I am.
Yeah.
I think the world needs more open books.
Yeah.
Because books are where we get our knowledge and our education
Absolutely.
from. And as times are changing, and this isn't a subject that everybody is interested in or has a reason to research.
Right.
Specifically,
Right.
I think when you put a story to it, or you put a personal connection to it, people are a lot more willing to listen and
Absolutely.
understand, because people do ultimately want to understand why people move the way they do and respond the way they do and act the way they do.
Right.
However, you're never going to get that until you get into a psychology program, until you get some
Right.
patience and talk to somebody,
Yeah.
until you get to a therapist and really
Right.
work things out. So being able to share my story, my experiences, what I've been through,
Yeah.
what I'm overcoming, what I'm battling, whatever
Right,
those things
right.
may be at the time,
Right.
and see how it impacts other people and how grateful they are for that new information
Yeah.
that they may have never thought to look up, search, inquire, anything.
Yes, yes.
I find a lot of value in that. I do.
That is absolutely wonderful. I love that, because I was that person. I didn't have a reason to look up, what I'm saying, or
Right.
understand
Right.
HIV or people living with
You
HIV.
thought you did.
I thought that I understood. But I would say, I will be the first to admit my ignorance.
Mhm.
another reason is because I feel like you said, I didn't have a reason. I didn't have family members, at least none that was open. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I mean, it might be people in my family that are, part of that, part of the community.
Right.
However, I didn't know anything about it. So
Right.
it's almost like, if it's not in front of you, it's like, what do I need to, out of sight, out of mind. Absolutely. So because it was not in front of me, because I did not interact with the LGBTQ community on a regular basis, I felt like there was no reason. But once I got into this field and started working in this field, and I was just like, I felt kind of overwhelmed, because I was like, whew,
wow. Yeah.
whew. I was like, I never knew. I felt so ignorant. I felt so ignorant. I felt like, oh my God, like, the knowledge that I had was minuscule, compared to it. I mean, it is a whole entire.
And people think sometimes it's just learning the diagnosis, but then you don't just learn the diagnosis. You learn the diagnosis and what it comes with, and how people have to deal with handling it, and how it may affect different people. And absolutely, it's like, wow, this is big. This is so much bigger.
It is.
But how many people know about the risk of a heart transplant,
Right.
I only know about a heart transplant because I had a friend, that needed 2, 3 of them, when she was younger. And
it was a personal experience.
So she meant a lot to me, and to know, hey, this is somebody that's going through this. So absolutely, whether your habit or your, desires to smoke, don't you do it around this person, because now I know, so I could make adjustments, so that I could, make that person not only comfortable, but also just maintain that relationship.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing when, they say don't bring X, Y, and Z to so-and-so's house. You make that accommodation because you want to maintain, that aura, that safe space there.
Absolutely.
It's the same exact thing, with HIV, with cancer, with any diagnosis, disability, anything. It's you being intentional about educating yourself, because it matters to you.
Absolutely. So do you think that HIV, do you think that it is as prevalent as it is? Do you think that it's more frowned upon because a lot of times it's tied into gay sex? Because say if a person was HIV positive, but they contracted it from birth. Say if a person was HIV positive, that all of the different ways that HIV can be contracted. I've heard breastfeeding. I've heard blood transfusions. I've heard, what if it was 2 heterosexual people and a woman contracted it from what she thought was her heterosexual, male partner, but he was out, what I'm saying,
Or even, and just to challenge that, but what about the heterosexual male? Who sleeps with a female?
Yes, a female.
Dealt with her high school best friend that happened to be a female on the volleyball team.
What if she's a sex worker? What if she's a sex worker? She's hiding it. However,
it's never tied to a gender, a people group, sexual orientation.
Yes,
it is. It is simply something that can happen to anybody. The same amount of value, the same amount of gratitude, of appreciation.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's challenging. I would say.
I think you do a good job, though.
Thank you so much. I mean, listen, I try. Okay, I try, and I mean, I would say that I'm definitely a work in progress, as we all are, right?
Exactly. We all are.
And that's the reason why I wanted to have this conversation with you today, because I do want the world to know, about people who are living with, this particular diagnosis, and, the ignorance that come behind it, the stigmas, and you are just like me. As a matter of fact, you might be more healthier than me. I'm for real.
And in a lot of cases, and that's one of the reasons that make me so confident in sharing, because although you may be quick to judge, I may very well make you look stupid.
Absolutely.
When was the last time you caught a common cold? I haven't in quite some time.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? That's my little helper, or vitamin, as I like to call it. You know what I mean? Where some people may have 6 and 7 pills. I'm blessed to be able to take one, just like a vitamin.
Yes.
And you want to take your vitamin, I'm going to take mine at the same time.
Absolutely.
But not my T cells, my CD4 count, all that stuff is, my T cells, fighter cells that are, fighting off the virus are, here, my viral load is here suppressed
Absolutely.
as it should, so now
Right.
it's undetectable because
Right.
I'm taking a pill every day.
Right.
But you're sitting here trying to, get this Walmart gummy and it's not really doing too much for you. So it's like
Right.
it very much makes me feel in some ways, in some circumstances,
Yeah.
like the superhero.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am what you would think the lowest of the low. No, I'm
Right.
actually the highest of the high. I'm on top of the
Absolutely.
world.
I love that.
And I have something to hold something that is so powerful.
Yes.
When beyond just knowledge of this, but I hold it itself, and not to
Yes.
say that it's anything to be proud of or anything, but I am proud to be, an undetectable black HIV positive man, and
Yes.
to be able to say that with confidence, and that
Yes.
means nothing the same way you would say I'm a black man that sells real estate in America.
Let me cross my legs.
There's no difference. You hold something
I
amazing
love
and
it.
powerful,
Absolutely.
and so do I.
Yes.
We're sitting at the same tables, and the
Absolutely.
conversations that you have that bring
Mhm.
value,
Mhm.
and have those same exact ones that are life changing.
Absolutely.
It might be a home for you, but it
Yes.
might be a condom for me.
Yeah.
It might be a new partner for me. Who knows? I may be the one that allows you to, see something in somebody else that may have been wrote off in your book because now you have newfound perspective
Yes.
and insight, and
Yes.
that's something beautiful, and
It
that I hold,
is.
near and dear to my heart. So,
Absolutely. I absolutely love that. I promise you, listen, I swear I had to sit back and cross my legs because I said, you better pop your,
because yes,
you better pop it.
Yes.
I love
That's
it.
me.
I love it. I love how you are so confident. I love how you are really bringing a new profound perspective to the, the world of HIV.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you are really putting it out there, setting the record straight.
Yeah.
Letting people know I am healthy. I am
Period.
undetectable.
Period.
Listen, it does not own
All
me.
of that.
I own it.
All
You know
of
what I'm
it,
saying?
yes.
Like I can sit at the same table as you. There's nothing about me that is different from you.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I love that. Listen, I
100%.
absolutely love that because again, there are so many people out here that are ignorant to this information, but people don't want to. This is a tough conversation to have.
Exactly.
It is a very uncomfortable
Yes.
conversation to have.
Right.
Again, that's why we are called Ruffle Feathers.
Come on.
I
But
mean, because
it's needed.
but it's something that needs to be talked about.
Exactly.
Absolutely need to be talked
Exactly.
about.
Yeah.
And kudos,
Yes.
kudos to you. Like
Any way that I can help, I'm here.
kudos to
The
you.
faithful servant.
So tell the world something that they can know. That tell us about Tayshawn. Let the world know something about Tayshawn. I mean, even though we have heard so
Yeah.
much, but let the world know something about Tayshawn
I just
and where they can find you on social media and things of that nature.
Yeah, I am. I'm around. I'm always around
Yes.
outside. Definitely not hard to find, but as mentioned, I am a natural hair care teacher, stylist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very passionate about that because, well, just to share, my motto with that is crowning glory and then giving natural hair hope and health. In every area of my life, I want to serve and I want to bring value. I want to help elevate. So for me, I feel like anything that I touch is blessed.
Yes.
When it comes to hair, I want to crown glory. You guys as individuals are glory. You guys are
Yes.
God's creation. You know what I mean? And then I want to give your hair hope and health.
Yes.
But I want to be able to share my story, whether it be in this specific light of HIV, whether it be just, growing up maybe without a father, whether it be growing up in a predominantly women household, whatever my story is, whatever I can use in my story to relate with somebody else, I think just using that, I find a lot of value
Yes.
and purpose. So I'm always doing something within my communities, always finding a way to serve, again, at work, with activities, coordinating, life enrichment, whether it be a party, a tea party, always try to bring value and do something that, inspires and helps, bring morale. But I am _thatSean on Instagram. I am NCLockdoc on Instagram. It's my hair page, my personal page. Amongst the two, I am very much putting myself out there, trying to be transparent, whether it be showing my gifts and crafts and skills on somebody's scalp, or personally, in my life and sharing what the Lord's doing with me, a fun event, a party or something, just me at my best, me smiling, me, if you know my story, you know that when you see those moments, they're real, they're genuine, and it's just something to use to motivate, you know, the next person because it's real, you know. To know me is to know me.
Absolutely.
To know
And
me
I would
is to
say
know
the
me.
same thing. First of all, let me just say I love that. I love what you said, and I believe you 110% again, because the first time I met you, you always came in as this ray of sunshine, just this fun, this light. Like you always have a light around that surrounds you. Every time I see you, it's never like a dull, dark cloud. You know,
Right.
you always come in with this beautiful smile, full of energy. I mean, it could be even a bad day,
I was
you
saying, I
know?
still
And I
go
mean,
through
you
my
still
stuff,
come
but-
in like with this positive energy,
Yes.
and I love it. I love it, and I'm so thankful that you were able to come and bless,
Yes.
you know, my podcast and be my first guest. Like, and I promise you, I see all of the things that God is doing in your life. Like, you are truly, truly, truly a blessing to many people. I
Yes,
could just
I
imagine
appreciate it.
how you
Yes.
are a blessing to many, many people. You are definitely a blessing to me, but I know that you spread that light everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, I'm pretty sure you touch people. So thank you so much again,
Always,
Tayshawn,
always.
for being here and
It was
sharing your
awesome.
story.
helps.
Listen, okay? People is about
Hope
to
it
start. Listen, Google, HIV on Google is about to be
Come
like
on.
lit, okay? Google, you can thank
Educate
me
yourself,
later, okay?
right.
Because there is no reason why people should not educate themselves.
Absolutely.
Even if they don't have any direct connection to it.
Just to know.
Absolutely.
I think, and just at that point, and I know, I think this is one of the biggest things we could mention. You may not be directly connected yourself,
Hmm.
but the reality is, if I recall correctly, 1 in every 4 men in the room,
Mhm.
somebody's affiliated with the LGBT community.
Yeah.
When it comes to women, it's 1 in every 2.
Wow.
So when you think about those numbers and you think about who you could be sitting next to
Yeah.
or who you could be in a room with
Yeah.
and not know every single
Right.
detail about their life and what they could be going through,
Yeah.
it's never enough to know more.
Right.
It's never enough.
And we're still educating ourselves on a daily basis
Exactly.
because we don't want to say that we know everything, you know?
Exactly.
And so, you know, it's definitely important to continuously to, you know, educate every single
Absolutely.
day, you know? So,
Absolutely.
again, I thank you so much for coming.
No
Oh my
problem.
God.
Always.
You have just brought such a smile.
Always, always,
Give me a
always.
hug.
Come on.
All right. Thank you so much.
No
Oh,
problem.
thank